Insiders say Julie Chrisley's friends are certain she will file for divorce from her jailed husband Todd, who convinced her to follow his foolproof plan, which ultimately led to their imprisonment. Julie and Todd have been married for 27 years. In June 2022, the reality TV pair was found guilty of perpetrating bank fraud and tax evasion totaling $30 million. Todd received a 12-year term, while Julie received a 7-year prison. Both received 16 months of probation, though their sentences were eventually lowered. According to insiders, Julie, 50, is doubting her marriage to Todd, 54, who persuaded her that they would never go to jail. According to a source close to the split reality TV pair, Julie's friends are certain that she will eventually divorce Todd for convincing her to go along with his foolproof plan that landed them in prison. This information was exclusively provided to dailymail.com. In September, the two, who are well known for Chrisley Knows Best, got their sentences shortened. Now, Todd will spend 10 years in a federal prison in Pensacola, Florida, and Julie will serve 5.5 years in Federal Medical Center Lexington. The father of 5 is said to feel massively betrayed by the U.S. government for coming out against the purportedly cruel conditions inside the prison, which include mold, plumbing problems, insect infestations, and even snakes. He also claims that there is no heat in the winter and no air conditioning in the summer. The real estate mogul, according to the insider, is hopeless and completely broken. Because he has been blabbing about the circumstances in the prison, he has become unpopular with many of the other inmates and spends his days in solitary. Todd is lecturing to anybody who will pay attention. However, he is simply aggravating his own situation. He is destined to spend the next 10 years behind bars, no matter what he does. Todd and Julie's representatives have been contacted by dailymail.com. It happens months after Julie was reported to be broken down in prison due to regret about her part in the fraudulent plan. She is inconsolable. She is not doing well at all, dailymail.com was previously informed by a different source. She feels like she let her family down and cannot imagine spending years behind bars. The insider went on to say that Julie regrets what she did in the name of fame, and that the former reality TV matriarch had given up on the possibility that the couple would be successful in their appeal. Savannah Chrisley, 26, a competitor on Special Forces, World's Toughest Test, is the daughter of Todd and Julie. She has spoken out a lot about her parents' terrible circumstances. The beauty pageant winner claimed that her father has been the target of Pensacola guards, and that there's been a lot of retaliation for coming out in a recent appearance with Entertainment Tonight. She also denied earlier rumors that her mother had retained legal representation in order to initiate divorce proceedings. The National Enquirer revealed in September that Todd's choice was influenced by the shocking admission made by Mark Braddock, one of his former business colleagues, who claimed to have been involved in a covert homosexual love affair with the father of 5. Mark's assertions were refuted by Todd, who called him a liar and insisted that he had made up everything. Savannah replied, "No, my mother has not hired counsel," in response to the article. "It would have passed through me if she had. That whole story is therefore untrue. My mother sobbed when we were sitting together during visitation this past weekend, expressing how much she missed my father. So karma's a ****, and it's going to come and bite you, for those who are feeding these outlets incorrect information." Reiterating his position, Todd's attorney Jay Sargent told Radar Online that his client and Julie were more in love than ever, and that their struggling and hardship had actually strengthened their bond. "I promise you that Todd and Julie are not headed toward divorce," he stated. "To be precise, I can attest that Julie is now more in love with Todd than she has ever been. She says things like she wishes she could just check on him and make sure he's okay, or that she could just be there to make sure he's eating. In the same regard, Todd is deeply in love with Julie," he said. Every time he calls, his first concerns are about her and her well-being. Oral arguments in the couple's appeal to have their convictions reversed were just granted. Savannah once more shared her happiness on Instagram. Oral arguments are scheduled to start the week of March 25, 2024, she disclosed, adding that about 6% of cases that are submitted for oral arguments get accepted. Thus, this is quite significant news. She said on Instagram, "We get to go argue why mom and dad should be at home." The panel may already be in the process of making a decision after reading the written briefs. Hence, oral argument presents a chance to ensure that the panel rules in your favor, or it could be your last chance to win your case, the user captioned the photo. Their appeal was turned down in July, but they didn't let it sit for long, so they filed another one right away, hoping to avoid going all the way to the Supreme Court, which Surgeon had stated they would do if necessary. If the 11th Circuit Court rejects Todd and Julie Chrisley's appeal, they will take this all the way to the Supreme Court. Indeed, 100%, he said at the time to dailymail.com. It could take 6 months to 18 months if the Supreme Court decides to consider their case. However, it is quite challenging to get a case there. And that's it if the Supreme Court rejects their case. There are no more options available to them. Unfortunately, that is the way our legal system operates. He maintained that the Chrisley's request for home confinement wasn't even processed, and that the appeals process clearly violated his client's Eighth Amendment rights. The TV stars were scared of losing their appeal because it would mean at least another year of living in their hellhole jails, a second source at the time told dailymail.com. As a spokesperson for the victimized father, Savannah claims that her father has experienced difficulties arranging phone conversations with his lawyer, calling the situation a huge thing. She claimed to Entertainment Tonight that it's a non-recorded phone call to where you can speak about the things that are happening to you to your lawyer, and they're not letting him do that. Savannah has revealed a whistleblower letter she got exposing dangerous working conditions at the institution where her father is being kept, following her public disclosure of her allegations of maltreatment. The Federal Bureau of Prisons Director Colette S. Peters wrote, "We are working to create and foster a culture where every employee and person in our custody knows that they can come forward without fear of retaliation," in a September document, which Savannah shared on Instagram. "We also hold those people accountable if there is retaliation." Several lawmakers were tagged by the loving daughter in the post. Savannah added that although Julie hasn't been targeted as much as Todd, living conditions for her are still quite bad. "Some of the male guards definitely talk down to the women who are incarcerated. They make them feel worthless," she said to ET. After being found guilty on federal charges of tax fraud, bank fraud, and conspiracy to defraud the United States, Todd and Julie started their jail terms in January.